Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we are going to swatch the 60 gouache from Arteza. I have actually had these on my wish list for a while and they ended up going on sale. I know, I said I wouldn't buy anything, but I also did say that I wouldn't promise I wouldn't buy anything, so here's me just being me. But yes, they were on sale. I actually love gouache. Quick backstory. My background before I did coloring books was watercolor, and I used gouache a lot because it can be used like a watercolor. Don't confuse it for a watercolor though, it is different. However, I tended to use it like that, or I would just thicken it up and, have some fun. So when I finally was able to break out all my art supplies, especially my tubes, all my old watercolors and gouache were all destroyed. And they were all old school, like cheapy brands. I mean, I don't know how good the Arteza ones are. I've heard mixed reviews. We'll find out. So they were on sale and I bought them. So yeah, we are going to play with gouache. I'm actually going to show you the easiest way to swatch these when they come in little tubies like this. So on the top of the box, they actually have them swatched out for you, and they seem to be in a color order, but we'll find out once we actually swatch them. There's also the metallics. I have some black paper over here that we'll be putting those on their own. And the cool thing is they do have a light fast rating, so that's always nice. And then they also have a transparency rating telling you whether they're fully transparent, semi-transparent, or transparent. That's always good to know. But one thing that I did notice, and I haven't seen in a lot of the watercolors I've been buying as of late, is they actually put the pigments in here. So they're telling us what pigments have been used to create these colors. So I was actually kind of impressed by that, and that's one reason I went ahead and bought these. I also bought their 60 tubes of watercolors. I swear I was doomed from the get-go. These are on sale one day, next day the watercolor tubes went on sale. Whatever. But I was impressed that they have the pigment numbers because a lot of people don't. Okay, so you slide off the lid there, and here is the gouache. If you have not seen Jazza's gouache video, you just need to watch it. I'm still laughing to this day now to say the word gouache. Yeah, you just need to check out his video. Jazza is like freaking hilarious and talented, but oh my gosh, his gouache video, I'm dying. But yep, Sean Connery reference that he did is stuck in my head forever. So here is the tubes. Now these are only 12 mLs. Yeah, depends on what you're looking at. That could be kind of standard, could not. Really depends, honestly. So they have a plastic lid. I carefully pull this off because sometimes these guys get a little smushed, but then you can see the color up in there. And on each tube, it'll tell you the color name, the pigment number, transparency, their color number system, and the light fast rating. Now, what the heck is gouache? It is it's a type of paint that is thicker than watercolor, but not as thick as like acrylic. It's basically a thick watercolor is the best way to think about it. And it's also a deceiving little monster. So lighter colors dry, or how your colors work is they dry lighter than you would expect for the darker colors, and the lighter colors dry darker. Yeah, I think I got that right. I could have totally switched that up, and I might have to correct myself with some text below. I know what I'm saying, I just don't know how to say it. So they do dry differently than how they look wet, so it's very important to swatch gouache. Now, you can lighten gouache, mixing them with white. You can change up their transparency by adding more water. However, you don't add water to lighten gouache because doing that is changing the consistency. So you're actually increasing the transparency. You're not really lightening the color. So it is one important thing to know about gouache. Gosh, I love that name, gouache. But that is one thing to know because I have seen a lot of videos as of late where they're watering down the gouache as a way to lighten it. That's not lightening it. You're changing the transparency. And these can be pretty opaque depending on the formula, which is why I appreciate that they gave us the transparency rating. So, how do I swatch them when they're in a tube like this? I mean, if I were to use these on a page, I would actually, open this up. And my Tim Holtz Media Mat, I would just put some on there and then pick it up, mix it with some water, or use a palette, whichever you prefer. However, for swatching, that's a lot of mess. I have 60 colors here. I'm not cleaning this off. There's actually a little trick I use to doing that. So I'm going to get these off to the side and we will start swatching and I'll show you my trick. And we're back. Okay. First things first, you're going to need a few things. No, you do not need a special brush for gouache. That said, disclaimer, gouache can be re-wet, so you could actually technically squeeze these into an empty palette, close the palette, use it later, let it dry. But when you go to re-wet these, do not use your nice, lovely watercolor acrylic brushes. You need a brush that you really just don't give a crap about to re-wet. They do get chunky, they get messy, you're having to like really work them in there. I personally, this is why I buy the tubes. I want to just take out what I need and use it and call it good. That said, if you really want to put them in a palette, just keep that in mind. Now, other than that, you do not need a special brush. Most watercolor and art brushes are made for gouache. However, you do want to double check the manufacturer. So I have these Transin art brushes and I'm using a round number 3 and these can be used with gouache. So I don't have to go buy anything special. And then I just use my old like art brushes that are falling apart for re-wetting anything that dries. Okay, so technically you could put this on a palette, mix it all up, and put it down. However, that is tedious. So when I am swatching gouache, and yes, I am going to say it like that. Ooh, I just wanted to check to see how much squirts out there, but that was a lot more than I planned. Okay, I gently squeeze the tube just until it's starting to pop up at the top. And then I just turn it over and dot on my page. Literally that simple. Of course, always double check to make sure you're using the right swatch part. Okay, then I have my brush. I wet it, I dry it because we don't want it super wet right now. This is a really boring color to start with, but I'm just going to pull this down to about halfway. Take a look-see. I know, look at that white, right? It's so glorious. All right, this will work just fine on this paper. I am using a watercolor paper. Let me just get another dot here. So I'm doing 2 dots. 1 dot is where I wet my brush, dry my brush, and get the dry application. The second dot, I leave the water on my brush, mix it up, so I'm basically adding a lot of water, and drag it down because I want to see how that looks with a lot of water. Because like I said, you can make these more translucent. So let me zoom you in. Oh, a lot. These first 2 colors are going to be incredibly boring. And I apologize for that, but all right, now we're on to white. Okay, again, I'm going to do a dot. That was a little too much of a dot, but whatever. And a dot. My brush is already damp but dry, so I'm just gonna move this. So see how thick it is? My brush is wet. You don't want it dry. You want it wet but damp. But see how thick it is right now? Maybe because it's all wet right now. But now I'm going to do this with a wet brush and water it down. Now we're moving on to a color you'll probably see. So let's grab the pale yellow. I'm not gonna lie, the caps on these really hurt my hands. Okay, put a dot there. That was a little too much of a dot, but some of these are like seriously filled to the brim. So, all right, I already have my brush damp, but see, it's nice and thick, like a paint. But I want to see it at its gouache form, and then I want to see it at its water color form. See, it's really thick. Fun fact, you can actually pull it right from the tube. It's naughty to do, but can be done. Okay, now with a wet brush, see how it becomes a lot more translucent. This one is going to be milky, and they do say on the tube this is not a translucent one, so see how it's all nice and milky. So if I were to use that as a watercolor, it would definitely be more opaque. All right, Naples yellow. Yeah, you just basically squeeze and dot, squeeze and dot. Oh my gosh, we got to do this for 60 colors. See there? So we have our dry gouache. It's actually a pretty color. So this Naples yellow also is not translucent. So I will have a more opaque watercolor. But the more water I add, see how you can see the paper coming through right there? I can even bring it down. I can even add a teensy more water just to see. So yeah, gouache. All right, lemon yellow. So this one is semi-transparent. So this one will be a little bit more fun. Ooh, look at that. Let's see, they used PY3. Make sure my brush is just damp. See, it's like a very thick, luscious color though. It's very bright lemon. There was no joking around with that lemon. All right, now I'm gonna take a wet brush. Let's bring it over here, and then as the water comes off, yep, so you can see how it's nice and semi-transparent. In fact, I think I'll move my dot over to make it easier, so we can just drag it. Now I may not swatch all 60. I might, like, you know, take a break and just swatch these privately, come back and show you some here and there. This one's gonna. Okay, so this one should not be very transparent. So let's put a dot here, and I'm gonna actually put the dot off to the side here, and that way we can test it a little better. So I got my dry brush. Well, I'm sorry, dry is not the word. Damp brush, just to check out this color. It's actually a very pretty color. Mid yellow. Okay, now having a bunch of water and dragging it out. That's probably a better way for you guys to see it, but see how it's concentrated and it's nice and becoming semi-translucent. Not a lot, because this is not a translucent color. At least that one wasn't. Okay, so now we are on Bumblebee Yellow, which is also not translucent. You know, actually, it might be. They've got their tubes all weird, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to see if no, it is. Okay. Because some squares are black, some squares are black, and some squares are white, but no, those are not transparent. It's the ones with an empty square. So, but just FYI, any gouache can become transparent with enough water. It's just a matter of it's not transparent, or it has no transparency coming out of the tube. Okay, let's check out this one. Get some good water mixture in there. Just drag it along. I keep sticking my brush into my clean water. Alright, I will save some of those for off camera because I honestly don't want you guys to sit here forever. So let's try some of the blues. In fact, I want to try, let's see. Gosh, this chair is so noisy. I keep getting plagued with noisy chairs. All right, let's do this blue here, cerulean blue. So that is right here. Now this is not a transparent one. See, just dot. Okay. That is a very pretty color. What pigment did they say? Oh, they have 3 different pigments mixed into that one. Okay, now let's check the water. Now, if you don't plan to use your gouache, I got some chunkies in there. That's not good. You know, if you don't plan to make it transparent, then you can skip this step. You know, if you just plan to use it nice and thick. I always like to see what it looks like with a little water. Let me see if I can find a transparent color to swatch for you guys. Here we go. All right. This is peach red. Okay, so peach red right here. Now this is a transparent one. So I'm just gonna put a little, wow, that's peach red. What pigment is in this? Wow, that's like hot pink. But we'll see what it dries like, because like I said, gouache is very deceiving. You really want to see what it looks like wet versus dry. But right now, that is hot pink. But maybe when I come back, it won't be so, well, hot pink. Maybe it will. Okay, so now with a wet brush, just get that mixed around first. So, you know, this is one that's transparent, so you'll notice it definitely wets better. But even thick, it really wasn't that transparent. If you use a light layer, I guess it is, but all right, I'm just trying to do a few mixtures for you guys. Don't I have purples? There's gotta be purples. Got plenty of browns. Let's see, those are my pearl colors. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's try some purple. Let's do this lilac. Where is lilac? Okay, lilac is right here at the end. So yeah, this could take a really long time to swatch with you guys. So dot, oops, big dot, little dot. Zero control. All right, my damp brush. That's a very pretty color. I like that one a lot. Right, let's try watering it down. Might have too much water on my brush, but that'll just show you transparency. So see, Yes, it does lighten it, but I mean, at the same time, you're also changing the transparency, so you really have to keep that in mind. All right, let me grab a green for you guys. Ooh, let's do this lime green. Where is lime? Okay. I might have to move my camera down a little because my water is in the way. So lime is right here. Okay, some of these caps, I'm not gonna lie, have some ickies on them. Not really a fan of that. All right, so we got our lime. Just got my dampened brush here. It's a pretty color. Okay, now I have my wet brush. Just get it really good and mixed before you drag it. Ooh, lovely. Okay. So I've swatched a couple of those for you. Zoom out. We've done a couple there. I don't want to make you guys sit here for all 60. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I will swatch these and come back and we can take a look and see. But one thing before I go, let's do the metallics, because I have been told that these things are amazing. So I want to see what all the hype is about with these metallic colors. So let's get some of these out. So this is Pearl White Rose. And let's see. So we'll do one at the top for our traditional gouache, one at the bottom. Ooh, that's a thick color. Okay, I already have my brush nice and damp. I'll zoom you guys back in so you can see. Now the lighting in here is brutal on this black paper, I know, but ooh, look at that. See, and gouache does smooth out. You just have to have the right stroke with it. Okay, let me get this one wet down a little. Let's see how this looks once it's been wet. Oh, it maintains its sparkle very well, even while watered down. Look at that. That's pretty. Let's do a color that's more exciting. Ooh, the Pearl Bubblegum. Okay. So we will do a dot for the gouache side. Dot. Wow. And then we'll do a dot for the watered down side. So see how thick it is? You just have to move it around and then know how to move your brush gently. And then it evens out. See how I'm picking it up, moving it around, just gently feathering it out. Wow, that is actually very impressive, Arteza. I'm actually impressed. I was really worried I was gonna hate these things. I was like, oh, okay, I put way too much water on there. Might have to pull some off the tube. So this is gonna be ultra transparent pink, but it still maintains its glitter. That's actually really impressive. So let's see if I can capture the light so you can see the sparkle, maybe. Yeah, you should be seeing that. See that sparkle and that sparkle? I mean, look, you can see the glitter through the black. We'll do one more. Oh, let's try the Pearl Cerulean Blue. That might be on this one. Gosh, every chair I buy is loud. You can just hear me squeaking all over. Now my brush is damp. This one's gonna be thicker because my dot was a little thicker, but see how I just keep picking it up with my brush and feathering it and smoothing it out. Oh, I got a lone wolf bristle at the moment. It's making a streak. That's pretty. All right, let's see what it looks like if we add a little extra water. Not a lot like the last one, but those are lovely. Very lovely. Look at that. Like I said, you can use these as a watercolor. I know some people are cringing right now as I just said that, but they will not have the same transparency as a watercolor, no matter what. Keep that in mind always. However, if you are trying to just, you know, water it down because you don't want it this thick, that is totally fine. Like, there's no rules in art, and I hate when people say there are. There's none. You are the artiste. So these ones have started to dry. So you can kind of see that one definitely still stayed hot pink. I would not call that peach red, Arteza. We need to talk about your colors. But this purple is luscious. But you can see the difference between the, I'm sorry, I have to keep going in and out on you guys, but I really want you to see this. So see the dry gouache here that we used with just a damp brush versus the color here with a little extra water. But they're both very clean. So keep that in mind. I mean, this is what you're going to get, and the color is lighter. It is also translucent. You can actually see some of the white of the paper through there, but it's not going to be as translucent as a watercolor, no matter how much water you add. See, with the cerulean blue, it's just thicker up here and even looks thicker, and then it lightens. So yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about gouache. You know, it is pretty versatile. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep swatching away because this is going to take a while, and then what I will do at the end is come back and show you all the colors. Okay, I have swatched all of my gouache, and let's see how they look because I let them dry as well, just so you guys could see them. My paper warped a little. So I was doing the two swatches, one with just a damp brush, the other wetting them down just a little bit more similar to a watercolor. Some of them you can see the transparency pretty well, others not as much, but let me see if I can zoom you in a little. That might help. Okay, so see here at the end where it gets more watered down, you can see that transparency even on this dark green. So they do lighten, obviously, but it's the opaqueness or the opacity that goes away. So this is just the basic 48 colors. I guess I gotta zoom you back out now. Let's just do a bunch of that. So yeah, overall this isn't a bad mix. Now, I'm a little harsher on gouache than watercolor because watercolor, honestly, you could take 5 watercolors and make whatever you want in the world. But with the gouache, you know, because it is so opaque, and some of them tend to be, well, like a few of these had some really random pigments. Which one was it? Peach. Okay, so peach here. This peach actually has 3 different pigments, PW6, P013, and PR21. I'm sorry, PO. Can't talk today. So a lot of these have some, you know, multiple mixed pigments in there. Not that that's a big deal. I'm still gonna mix these up and see what else I can make, kind of change up the colors. I mean, obviously you can mix them with white, and that is how you should lighten a color with gouache. Definitely adding the white. Now with a watercolor, that's going to make it a little milkier, more opaque. So, you know, usually it's best to just water it down with water. These need to be lightened with white. They gave the titanium white and white, and they are the exact same pigment is used in both. Both are PW6. So am I losing my mind? It's like literally the same color. They look the same and they have the same pigment used. So that one I gotta look into that. That one I found kind of weird. But yeah, the rest of these are okay. Now these ones, A104. Okay. So yeah, Bumblebee Yellow has two pigments. So A104 is actually using pigment PY1. Bumblebee has PY1 and PY3 mixed in, so just a slight variation there, but as you can see, it's pretty slight. Other than that, let's see. Oh, my dog's hair is just everywhere. The purples are okay, not too shabby. This peach red is just hideous. It's like neon pink, and the name is like, what on earth? The peach red also is supposed to be transparent, which I guess it is pretty transparent, but yeah, I don't know. That one was an odd one. But I do like these really vintagey colors they have in here. I'm loving this mauve. I actually really dig the blues that they have in here, including this stone blue. I really like that one. The greens I'm okay with. Even this sage is pretty good section of browns. You know, so I'm not too mad there. They've got the black and the gray. And then let me show you the sparkly ones, which I did on my black paper. Now, I recently swatched my Paul Rubin glitter watercolor paints, and normally, if you guys have watched my channel enough, when I'm swatching glitters, you have seen me, I'll zoom in a little, you've seen me swatch usually my glitter paints on black paper. Now, my Paul Rubens, I did not, because while it's good to put them on black paper and see all that sparkle, my sketchbook is white, coloring book pages are white, so I actually need to swatch them on white, because really how they look, I swear the Jets knew I was filming. How they look on this black paper doesn't really matter, because I'm not coloring or using these on black in my art. So just keep that in mind if ever you see me only swatch glittery colors on white, that's because you should swatch it on at least the colored paper that you would mostly use. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, these are all sparkly here, but what do they look like on white? And I will be swatching these privately on white just to check them out. I mainly put them on the black for your benefit to see the sparkles. They're not too bad. They are glittery. They definitely have some glitter going on. And even when you water them down and use them more like a watercolor, they still maintain that sparkle. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that. They're very opaque, so that's great. And I guarantee on the white paper, used in their normal form, they're going to be awesome. Now, if you were to water them down on white, I have a feeling they wouldn't be as groovy, but, you know, I'll test that later. This is just a first impressions. This is by no means a review. I have to play around with them and all that. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you what the 60 count gouache is. So it's 48 regular colors, 12 metallic. I did buy the 60 watercolors, which I'll be swatching. I believe that is just literally 60 colors. So I'm going to be very interested in how those turn out and pretty excited to swatch those. But these aren't too bad, guys. I mean, considering I snagged them on a deal and it's really not too shabby. But like I said, there was just a few things I noticed. I need to look into the whites because it's literally the same pigment that they have listed on the box. So I'm like, okay. And then like these two yellows, they just added one to this using the same pigment here. So I'm like, well, but it's really close. They should have added something else. I mean, they're practically identical. So that one's kind of a flop. Had to pause for the jet, but it's just coming back. I'm gonna pause one more time and maybe they'll stop flying by. All right, guys. I waited for a half hour and those jets are still booming. It's like they know I'm on pause. So bottom line, not too bad for the money you pay. I'm going to use these in a coloring book, actually. You know, it is A is for August. 2021 is my tag this month. So I'm going to use these for a background, and I think these will be really fun. In fact, a couple of these I've already been eyeing and trying to find pencils that'll work around them. But I'd like to see how they perform on a coloring book page. And yeah, I plan to play with these. I'm not disappointed. I just have a few qualms with these two. I'm like, what's up with this? So it's seriously the same color, and it says the same pigment. So am I losing it? I could be. I gotta look into it. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, but literally both are PW6 is the pigment. They both have the same transparency rating, light fast rating. Like, I'm literally seeing nothing to differentiate the two from one another. So basically they just changed the name and gave us two whites. That's how I'm looking at it right now. When I do an official review, I can give you guys more of the gist on that. But thanks for hanging out while I swatched some gouache, or gave you a sampling of swatching gouache and saved you guys from watching me do this for hours. And until next time, take care.